Bye-bye.
It's not time for that yet, Sedge, as much as I
No?
know you wish it was. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what episode is this?
167.
167 of what was formerly known as the Green Suiters podcast, and now the Three Splinters podcast. Still the best podcast on the interwebs today. This is all official now. Like, we have a logo and everything, and we cannot wait for everybody to see it. If you're a patron, you've already seen it, and the feedback on it has been fantastic. But we'll talk more about that.
And check out our new logo on our MySpace.
Yeah,
page.
on our MySpace page. So we do have some admin stuff to get through. I would like to welcome 3 new patrons since our last episode, because it has been 2 weeks. With that being said, I would like to let everybody know we are back on a regular schedule, and we will be releasing weekly episodes again because we are now in the new year and we're done being lazy.
We are back.
We are back. We're back. It's a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
We are back. So we'd like to welcome the latest 3 tool sharpeners. We have Michael. That's it. Welcome,
Hi, Michael.
Welcome.
Welcome.
We have Joe Z.
Oh,
Welcome, Joe.
welcome, Mr. Z.
Welcome.
A lot of very ominous people. And then we have Mr. Corey Rays.
Corey Rays.
Welcome, Corey Rays. 3 newest tool
Welcome,
sharpeners.
Corey.
Awesome.
Now,
Hey,
that being
can you
said,
Can you spell ominous?
I cannot.
Okay. O-M ominous.
Yeah, you're so weird. All right, we have some giveaways to do for the month of December. Our giveaway sponsor was Forge 3D, and he's giving away 2 gift cards to his store for $100 a piece at
Thanks, Tyler.
forge3d.store.
Yeah. Thanks, Tyler.
Forge3d.store.
Who's froze? Is it Jason?
What's that?
Who froze?
I guess it was Ronnie because he's the only one that wasn't moving.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, everybody freeze.
I guess it was me. I'll
Yeah.
monitor that closely. I'm in a room I've never done this before in.
It looks like a dungeon. Do you get a safe
Are
word?
you
I-
in the
I can't-
closet?
I came to a bedroom we don't use because I've been doing voiceovers all day. I'm kind of seeing blurry right now. But
Oh.
if
You look tired.
oh man. Yeah.
Guess
that's
what we're
it.
doing tonight?
A giveaway.
We're also giving away a Festool swag item because it's the end of the month.
Is that a
And
We
sport?
should get that.
Whoever wins this, I apologize for the condition of the box. It is a little damaged, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's one of the Festool cutlery sets.
Yeah, oh,
Highly
The-
sought after, highly collectible, probably worth easily 6.2 million.
At least.
yes.
Last time I
Yeah.
checked on eBay, 6.2 million.
Yeah. Because it's unopened. Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost.
It looks like Amazon delivered it.
Yeah. And exactly. And our 3 newest patrons, Michael, Josie, and Corey Rays, congratulations, because you guys get into this giveaway. So maybe you just became a patron and you're going to win. So let's spin the wheel. First gift is for one of the $200 gift cards from Forge 3D.
Break the deal. Spin the wheel.
The wheel is spinning, and the winner is, congratulations, James from Dirty Meerkat Workshop. I know James.
Congratulations.
Wow, that just sounds kind of dirty meerkat.
It does sound kind of
I
strange.
feel so
It's his
dirty.
OnlyFans name. All right, let's spin it again for the next winner. Dirty Meerkat.
Dirty meerkat.
Dirty Meerkats only. The second winner is, I'll laugh if it's, oh, you got to be kidding me. Corey Rays, our newest patron.
All right.
It's funny
Man.
that I just said that as a joke, like, welcome, you just got into our giveaway and maybe you'll win. And he literally just won. Corey Rays. I hope I'm saying
Wow.
that right. Rehs.
Maybe that wasn't such a long spin.
No, yeah. No, I spun it. It's legit. I should share my screen. Remove all instances of Corey Rays. All right, now for the grand prize, kind of,
Uh-oh.
of the half-opened box of Festool cutlery.
Boy. I wonder how much that's worth online.
I told you,
Like-
6.2 million.
Ooh.
It's more sought after than a Vaxis. Oh, local winner, Angie Williams. I think she just
All right,
won something
Ange.
else a couple of months ago.
All right,
I
Angie.
think she won one of the Bits gift cards, if I remember correctly. I actually just
Wicked.
spoke to her via text messaging not too long ago, having a similar instance running in with the drawer fronts and the drawer faces on her miter saw station she's building. I should send her
Oh.
your video.
Oh.
All right, we have our winners.
I had $1 for every woman I've talked to about that.
Yeah, man. Whew. I'd be able to buy a coffee at Starbucks. Not a special coffee though, just like a regular coffee. All right, giveaways are over. Admin stuff is over. Thank you to everybody who is a patron. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Three Splinters Podcast, because by the time this comes out, it will be changed. And if it's not, just go to Green Suiters until I change it. But
Okay.
yeah, become a patron.
Are we able to switch everybody over?
I haven't done any of it yet. I need
Okay.
to. Apparently, it's going to be pretty easy. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm going to get that done this week. One other thing is we are doing Beers with the Boys. It is January, so it is a call open to all patrons. It'll be on 31 January, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Become a patron, and you can be a part of that. If not, oh well. Now, the Three Splinters is happy to say that we have a fourth splinter tonight. And I would just like to point out before he says anything, even though you have already been a guest on this podcast, even though back when it was the OGs, me, Ben, and Mr. Sedgley, you were the most. So we had something called the Green Suiters Con. We did a patron-only event in Kentucky,
Cincinnati.
Newport, Kentucky, Cincinnati area. And I had a little flyers out, and it said, let us know who you'd like to have on the podcast. And overwhelmingly, your name came up over everybody else's more often than anyone else.
I am both honored and preemptively apologize for letting you guys down.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, did you hear the last episode that Mr. Erik Curtis was on? It was a total snooze fest.
Do you know how hard it was to sit back for 10 minutes and not make fun of you guys just now? Like, that was, torturous.
I feel like that Sedge and I were kind of acting up just because we could watch.
Oh, I know you
Yes.
were. I know, because I was locked in the mute
Yeah,
button.
because you're just sitting there. We're trying to entertain you while you're getting through our admin stuff.
Well, I got to be honest. I'm very impressed that you kept it quiet the whole time, because we have had other guests where we're going through that stuff and they always like say stuff in the background. I'm like, oh man, I haven't introduced you yet. You know,
I'm nothing if not professional or
Yeah, he's
feigned
pro.
professionalism. Absolutely.
He's a bro.
That's right.
Dirty Meerkat.
That should be the episode title tonight.
Dirty Meerkat.
Dirty Meerkats and Erik Curtis. No, Dirty Meerkats and Epic Beards.
No, I like Dirty Meerkats and Erik Curtis. That has a certain ring to it that just feels
That's
like
it.
we don't know where that's going.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is the title of this
James won't
episode.
even know where that's going. He'll be like,
No.
why am I involved here?
Yes. Why is my name part of the title? This is strange. He's a good guy. So, Erik, hello. How are you?
Good, gents. What's popping? How you guys been? I haven't seen all three, I don't think, since Workbench Con, yeah?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, probably that's been since that build off.
Yeah.
Did you go to IWF?
No, I wasn't down in IWF. I was at Maker Camp.
Ugh.
But I don't remember seeing you. Oh yeah? Tell me how you really feel,
No,
buddy.
no. I want to talk about Maker Camp tonight because I know you always go.
Yeah, I would like to hear too about that.
We can
Sure.
chat about that. Well,
But,
I mean, do
yeah.
you want to give a little bit of background for those that like don't know who you are, which
Sure.
shame on them?
There's nobody.
Sure.
Everybody knows who Erik is.
No.
There's a lot of people who definitely don't know who I am, nor should they. There's a lot
Well-
of people who also confuse me from many other people because I'm a white guy with a beard, and
Yeah.
they can't tell the difference
Yeah.
between
Hey,
us.
Mike Coffee.
Mike Coffee.
Is that Mike Coffee?
I
Yeah.
get that. Who's the? I always forget his name. He's a really
Jason
really
Hibbs?
nice guy.
Jason
no, I
Hobbs?
know Hibbs. There's another guy.
Izzy Swan?
Nope. I've never been mistaken for Izzy. There's another. Anyway, there's like 7 other guys who look apparently just like
Oh,
me.
the Southern Craftsman.
Yeah, that's one.
Maybe.
Yep.
That one's
Yeah,
one.
he's a wicked cool guy.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So anyway, my name is Erik, and I make things out of wood. I went to school at the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship back in 2012. Came out of that, I mean, I grew up in the trades. I grew up building things. I just renovated this room today. I literally finished renovating this room about an hour before we recorded. So I was glad I could get it up
Wow.
enough where it didn't look terrible. And then came out of school in 2013 and worked in a bunch of cabinet shops and ended up teaching for 4 years at a K through 12 school, teaching 5th through 12th grade, wood shop and 3D design. And since 2021, I've been full time in furniture and content creation.
Nice. Now you do have a YouTube channel.
I do have a YouTube channel, and it just hit 100K.
I was gonna
like
ask
a
if
week
it
ago.
did.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
I look.
Congratulations.
thank you, brother. When I started taking YouTube seriously, it was January of 2 years ago. So whatever, 2022. And I made the decision to focus on YouTube, and my goal was 2 years to hit 100,000. And I got to about August of this year, and I was like, it's not going to happen. Like, it's just, this summer just kind of tanked, and it was slow going. So I just kind of accepted that it wasn't going to happen. And then I got to like 90 by late November, and I was like,
Maybe.
and then I was at like 97, like just before Christmas, and I was like, it might happen. And then snuck it in. I think it was on the 30th. Hitting
wow.
that goal. So yeah, skin of my teeth, but I got there.
Nice.
Nice.
I was because I think I texted you a couple of weeks ago about this podcast, maybe just over. I don't think you had hit it yet because I
No.
actually specifically went to your YouTube channel because I knew that we would probably end up talking about that. And then I saw some other people posting on Instagram like, hey, let's get this guy to 100,000.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, you gotta love the community that we have. Like, I posted a story because I was at like, I think I had just hit 99 or something, and I think it was on the 30th, and I just posted a story basically saying like, look, whether I hit it or not, the ability that this community has given me to make a career out of content and make furniture and make a sustainable living. I just wanted to express the gratitude for that. So I put out a story, and then all of a sudden, all the goobers started reposting it and reposting it and pushed me over the top. So you got to appreciate friends,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is a question that I think everybody really wonders. I mean, it's a serious question, and that is, how is your back now that you have that additional like bulge in between your legs that you have to carry around all that extra weight? Is it like, did you have to get a new orthopedic chair when you did your remodel of the office?
I mean,
or-
it's hurting. It's hurting right now. So
You'll get used to it.
Yeah,
You'll get used to it.
yeah. I figure as much. It's just like
Yeah.
muscle growth, you know?
Yeah. And then like every 100,000 is like an additional 3 inches. So just be prepared for that. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize it was linear growth like that. I imagined it was a
Wow.
I mean, it's
diminishing
both.
returns.
It's
Is that
both ways.
Is that
Yeah,
what the
both
dirty
ways.
meerkat is? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Yes.
The extra the extra meerkat in length
Yeah.
every 100,000 you hit?
Yeah.
Jason hits
Additional
like
meerkat.
Jason's 2 meerkats up.
Yeah.
I did.
My meerkat
I
game is
admit
strong.
the thing that I was looking forward to the most was getting the plaque so I could put it up on the wall and then just tag Drew in a whole bunch of different stories saying that I got there before him, even though he's at 200K now, but it's fine. So I'm really looking forward to that.
You know, I've always said that I'm going to get to like 99,000 and they're going to send out a notice for him and be like, due to whatever, we're
Yeah,
discontinuing our plaque program.
Right.
I just know that's going to happen. And my wife always goes, I'll make you one. If that happens, I'll make you one. I'll make
Or
you one.
your account gets flagged.
That's so I started the competition with Drew that I was going to beat him to 100,000. I think when we both had like 60 or something. And then he just immediately skyrocketed like weeks after that and hit 100,000 like again, maybe a month after that. And I was at maybe like 62. I was like, son of a... So then he got around to trolling me and made me a plaque out of OSB for like 84,000 or something. I was like, you son of a...
I remember at Workbench Con. When did the pandemic hit? What year was that?
2020.
2020. So it was a Workbench Con in February of 2020, like right before. And I was sitting with Hibbs at the bar. I think it was like the last afternoon, like while classes were going on. And I think I had like 60 something thousand at the time. And he was asking me like how that was going. And that he wanted to get serious about YouTube again.
Mhm.
And then of course he leaves that. He does like a video a week and he goes crazy because of the tank and all this stuff. And I remember talking to Ben, who used to be on this podcast, and this was like, less than 8 months later. And I'm like, and then I was at, 96,000 or 97,000. And I'm like, Jason is growing at such a rapid pace. He's going to beat me to 100,000. And I swear to God, like 3 days later, he skyrockets past me and like, like look at him now, he's got this massive following, but yeah, I remember that. I'm like, there's no way that he's gonna beat me. Like I've been doing this a lot long. No, he just
It's so funny. Like, so Jason and I first met in a Instagram group chat in 2019, I think it was. And so we had been buddies for a couple of years before that. And he was, he's building the cabinets and he was doing the things. And he's always like, yeah, maybe one day I'll get to YouTube. And everybody in the chat, we were all like, dude, you're literally the funniest person that we know. Like, you should just focus on it. And then I remember, I think it was that January of 2020, he sent us that text. He was like, I'm going all in on YouTube. And whatever it was, 3 months later, like the tank video came out and that was it.
Blowing
Just
everybody
gone.
out of the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Some people are just naturally entertaining, and he's
That's
definitely
the thing,
one of them.
man. He's just one of those guys who's just he knows the cadence. He knows how to make a person laugh.
His timing's there.
Yeah. And his personality is so good. Like, it does not matter what kind of video he releases. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He released a video on. He just released a video
The
on
tree.
The tree.
like moving a tree, and I watched the whole thing, and I'm like, I had like 90,000 views within like 7 hours of releasing it.
And I told my wife he just paid for that tree removal. When I saw the video, it had 160,000 views. I was like, that paid for the tree removal. The video
when he was standing
in a day. Yep.
When he was standing on the tree house, and instead of cutting to the new area, he jogs across the goddamn. He's just so damn funny. I was laughing. I was going, you know what? I watched the whole damn thing.
Yeah, I did too. I did too.
I
Guys,
I thought it was fascinating.
So legitimate question. You guys
7
watch other 2.5 Meerkats. You guys legitimately watch other woodworkers' YouTubes regularly?
I'm not great about it.
Regularly, no.
I watch all of Ronnie's because they're good.
Because I barely post.
All 7 a year.
No.
I just for me, I can't when I'm separating from work and I have time to sit down and watch YouTube. It's not a thing unless I'm studying to be like, what did Jason do that worked? What did Bent do that worked? Et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Outside of that, I'm like, I don't have the entertainment value of watching people make things. I think it's too much overload.
I watch Ronnie and I watch Jason, and every once in a while I'll pop on a Bourbon Moth. But I'm with you. The majority of the YouTube I watch is powerlifting guys and gals, and sometimes I get caught in a wormhole of watching stuff. Like there was one night we were doing the podcast, and these two knuckleheads here are talking about watch videos.
Oh man.
Reclaiming a Rolex. Yeah,
clean it up.
Reclaiming an antique Rolex. So I said, what's so fascinating about this? I burned an hour of my time.
Yeah.
I got sucked into it.
Yeah.
And I like to look at videos sometimes where I'm going, okay, I look at a thumbnail, I go, what's this about? I click on it and I get sucked in because it's something I don't know about and I want to learn. I have this constant discovery of my curiosity. I love learning.
Mine are history ones. Like the thumbnail will grab me sometime if it's a place I've been to before and like show or how to do something, how to make something, that kind of thing. Because I always liked that kind of show when I was younger, but they didn't come on a lot. And now with YouTube, you can watch them nonstop.
Yeah,
and I love to watch factory videos. Like the factories, how things,
like how it's made and whatnot.
The Bentley and the Rolls Royce ones are amazing because there's all kinds of woodworking in them. It shows how they make the interiors. It's so cool.
And then sometimes I do see somebody. I see a thumbnail of something kind of cool that somebody's making, a piece of furniture. And then the ones I really like are these guys and gals that are discovering or figuring out woodworking, and they're so daggone authentic.
Yep. Yep.
And that to me, I just get so jazzed watching them going, oh, that's cool. And then, they it's just I don't know. I get into people who just don't know. It seems like they don't know what they're doing, but they get but guess what? They get to the end and they
Sure.
get something really creative.
Sure. Sure.
I like to see how their process works or their thought process works. So
I watch
I
I
don't
watch
know.
friends' videos,
Mm.
but only if it's like I'm sitting there. Typically, like I go to YouTube to find whatever it is that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But if I have like time to kill, then and I'll scroll through and it'll like now my feed is just full of kids stuff, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
when I do see something like one of your videos or Matt Outlaw or Hibbs or Keith or, Drew, any of these people, and they're like, oh, they just released a video within the past week. I haven't seen this one. I'll watch it. But um, if I don't ever see some of these videos, every time that I visit Patrick and Michelle from Leather by Dragonfly, or they come here, I don't really need to get caught up on videos because we will literally sit on the couch and just drink beer and he will navigate my YouTube and we go through like every single video and he's seen all of them. Yeah, because before he retired, he was working like midnight, day shifts and stuff, and he had plenty of time on his hands. So he watched all the videos. So like, there isn't a video that he hasn't seen
Oh,
in the
that's
woodworking
hilarious,
space.
man.
So he'll be like, "Hey, did you see the video about this?" You'll pull it up. So we'll just go on a bit for like
While
the
while he
hour
was
drinking.
directing airplanes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, while he was, responsible for everybody's safety in the United States. But whatever.
See, I'll click on a friend's video and I'll just walk away. I'll like let it play to give them the view and the time, but I'm like, I don't, just do one of those.
Yeah, I never click off from. I don't want to hurt it, but
Right,
usually,
right.
usually the people that luckily, I guess I'm lucky enough. The people I know, usually it's not hard to watch through the whole video because they know what they're doing.
Well, sure.
That's
Like
good.
the storytelling aspects of it, like some people are really, really good at that. But, like if I have a legitimate question about what you're doing, like I'll just text you. So
Right.
like
Right,
that's
right,
that's
right.
the downside of it is like I don't want to waste
So
30 minutes of doing a thing when I can just be like, "Hey, Bent, I saw you did this thing.
Right.
How'd you go about that, man?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's and every once in a while I'll pick out a video. Like we have a local guy, Pax Woodworking, wicked cool guy, and he's a patron. He released a video, and because he's getting into YouTube, but he was doing an install, and I was going, okay, he's okay, yep, I'm following along, yep, and then all of a sudden he's doing this scribe, and his technique of doing the scribe blew me away because he's doing a double domino mortise for the offset, scribing it, and then using the second mortise. And I reached out to him. I said, that is smoking, man. I really enjoyed it. I watched the
actually
whole
had-
daggone thing.
I had lunch with him yesterday at Ale Emporium, and we were discussing his channel. He's released 4 videos. Get this. This does not happen often. His first video he released to YouTube, he got like 55,000 views.
Get
Wow.
out.
And then his second and third one didn't do so hot. And that scribe video, he said, is doing even better. It has over 60,000 views. And I'm like, he was able to monetize after his first 4 videos.
That's crazy.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
Some people just innately know like the thumbnail and the title game.
Yep. It's funny. He just texted me because yesterday he just monetized literally like right before he came to lunch yesterday. And he just sent me a text. And today it populated earnings that he had from his first day of monetization. I'm like, that's got to be an awesome feeling,
Yeah, man.
It's like, now you're going to start earning money from it. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I remember that first day earning 2.5 cents. It was a really good
Oh my
feeling,
God.
man. Yeah. That was half a
can't
Bazooka Joe right there.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to monetize.
I'm more
You're
excited to
monetized.
check my Amazon affiliate than I am the YouTube money.
I mean, hey,
You just
that
got to
money
post more.
spends.
Yeah. I mean, it adds up though. It really does. If you got it working for you in the background, it adds up.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's
What's
a
that,
daily thing.
Amazon?
Yeah. Yeah. The
I'm
Amazon.
going to tell you what. They did that creator rewards. Though
Mhm.
this is my third quarter doing it,
Mhm.
and I'm hitting some high tiers on
Me
there.
too.
And I'm just like,
Amazon?
Yeah.
Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I
And
don't
you
know
know what
anything
they
about
did?
this.
You know what they did to me? It shocked me. I was $80 shy of hitting a tier, and I was like, well, that sucks. And they sent me an email the next day and they said, you were so close, we're going to go ahead and give it to you.
That's
I
so
was like,
cool.
what?
That's awesome, man.
Why would they do that? I'm like,
And
Because
I've
they're
already
trying to
said no.
incentivize you to keep doing it.
I guess
yeah,
so, but
Yeah.
well,
I like it.
I also think there's another reason. YouTube is really pushing for the shopping, where you can have your Amazon links, but you can also have your YouTube links. And the YouTube links, of course, are up above with fancy pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And they pay more.
Oh
They
my
do pay more.
God.
Do they really?
I cannot believe it.
Yes. I've
Yeah.
had some big sales on there that I'm like, where did that come from?
Yep.
And
Really?
I just made
Yeah.
$50 the other day off somebody buying a water heater because they clicked on the link. So the latest video that I did, I was comparing like the DeWalt to the Makita trim router, and I've been a part of that YouTube. What is it? The YouTube
Affiliate is-
creator program where you like
Yeah.
do the monthly phone calls. First of all, I'll just say that it's not really worth it. They haven't really said anything groundbreaking. They're obviously just trying to get you to do all the things that YouTube has, like shopping. But the shopping conversation keeps coming up. They're like, "Have you considered doing it?" I said, "Yeah, of course I've considered doing it. I've made money off of the LVP flooring video that I did because once you started, I was like, oh, I'll just put the Home Depot flooring in there, and I've earned commissions off of that since. That video is still like one of my best performing videos. It's like 6 years old. So every once in a while, people will click on the link, they'll buy the flooring, and I make a commission off of it. I said, but the tools that I use, there's not a lot of opportunity there because there aren't many people selling Festool, if any, in YouTube shopping. Like you're not buying that from Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's.
Walmart actually does have Festool tools on the shop on YouTube.
Then that must be a
They
new
do.
thing
Really?
because
They do.
everything I've ever tried has
Yes.
not come up.
Acme Tool is the other one that has them listed.
Okay, so I think what's happening though is YouTube shopping is becoming bigger. Like more companies are getting involved.
Oh yeah.
And so on that video, I said, you know what? I'm going to put my Amazon affiliate links down on the bottom, but I'm also going to put
Yes.
the YouTube stuff because that comes up on the screen.
Yeah.
And guess what? The very first day, I made like $80 just from that. So
kidding.
yeah, so
and,
because you can choose what company, like 50
Yeah,
companies
Lowe's.
will sell that, and it'll be 10%, 15%, 20%.
20%. Lowe's 20% on
Yeah.
Ego power
Yeah.
equipment.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I gotta see
I
this
had-
for people who are wondering what's the value of things like Workbench Con, et cetera, et cetera. Like these are the conversations that
Yes.
happen at those.
Yeah.
Which like Ben, you were the one who told me to start doing the Amazon affiliate links a couple of years ago. So now you're telling me to stop doing that and do YouTube.
No,
shopping?
no,
do
no,
that
do
too.
both.
Both.
Do them both.
Do both.
All right.
I
all
did the
right.
same
Did you
thing
hear
as
us?
Jason.
Both.
I put,
don't stop.
So,
no, I did
okay,
the same thing in my description. I put all the things that I mentioned in the description,
Yep.
but I also did the shopping, which you can tell it when you want it to come up. And I kind of worry a little bit about when they're watching a video. The last thing you want is for them to click on shop and go out of your video like right when it starts because it appears like that they abandoned your video. So I kind of
I
put
don't
it
think
towards,
it will though. I
Does
think
it
it'll
doesn't? I wondered
I
about
don't. I think
that.
it opens it in a new window.
But I had one video where I had 2 sales and I had made $341. Had 2 sales.
So are these like links that are popping up like a video card, like
A little
on
shopping
screen?
cart, a little black square that says shop.
Guys, you're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah,
I had no
it's
idea.
We post it. It comes out below the video too in the top of the description.
Mhm.
And here's the funny thing: we did one with our Posi Drive versus Phillips. We got a ton of views on it. And Chris did this. He put the Posi Drive screwdriver from YouTube, but we also had the link on Amazon down below. I sold 4 Amazon Posi Drive screwdrivers, Weira screwdrivers the next day
That's awesome. Yeah.
from the Amazon link.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Man,
people, I
okay.
think people need to see the picture,
Mm.
and that's what pops up.
Right.
It's,
And some people
it's-
go to the
I'm-
description and find the Amazon link. They'll go that way, but you gave them 2
Yep.
different ways to find it.
Yes,
Damn.
exactly, Ronnie.
Yeah. It
Okay.
works.
Yeah, this is so funny because you can see what they bought. But again, it's just another opportunity to get people to click on a link that's associated with you, and it's
Sure.
just like Amazon. So here's what I sold. Yes, somebody did buy the fixed base compact router. Somebody did buy the router with a battery and charger combo. But then I got money for an electric water heater installation kit, a 50-gallon water heater, and Dude flushable wipes, extra large with shea butter.
I mean,
Do you know
sounds like the Meerkat is getting busy.
my
Yeah.
craziest ad on sale that was not part of mine? Somebody bought window hardware for an entire house and it was $3,500. It was like tilt out window hardware. So they went from my link and bought that. And it's awesome because they give you credit for it. But also something else for you to know, Eric, you can go back to an existing video and add them.
Yes.
That's something you can do. You don't
Yes.
have to, you don't
That's
have
what
to
we
wait.
did.
You can
That's what
go
we
Okay.
back.
did.
So that you
Okay.
know how they only let you do certain things, that's one thing they let
Yeah.
you do. So I go to my short form like YouTube video, and you can say, what's a video you have that you want to link to this? That's one of the things they let you do. Have you seen that before? You can say
No.
there's a on a YouTube short, you can go in there when the edit, you can go in a past video and it says
Sure.
you can put a link to basically like, so if I have like a short version of how to do crown molding and I have a long version, I can go in there and put a link from my short version where they can click on the long version. It's like a
Oh,
connection
yeah, yeah,
point,
yeah. I've seen that. Okay.
but you also can go in there and add shoppable like links. And, in addition to having the Amazon links, you can go in there and create that shop thing. So
You guys are so much better at the business of content than I am.
no,
Like
you're killing
you
it.
guys know like all of the ways to make the bucks, to do the
Well,
thing, to like make it sustainable. That's what
well,
I respect the
I'm
hell out of you guys for that, man.
I'm always learning though, because
Oh,
Jason told
sure.
Chris the other day, "Hey, do you guys have this?" And Chris goes, "What?" And this weekend, Chris is my business partner, Eric, and we're sitting in the office, and he goes, "Yeah, Jason said something called Super Thanks."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we looked at your channel, and Ronnie, you've been doing it.
Yep. I get them every once in a while. I wish I could do more like showing skin. I probably could get them a little bit easier,
Yeah,
but
and I link it to my OnlyFans page, and it's awesome.
I do think that we kind of that's we're at a disadvantage of getting those super things. I think we could get them better if we had other things going for us.
Is this like when somebody like slides you $5 for doing
Yeah,
something?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
it's tipping
It's a
on
tip.
YouTube.
tipping on
It's a tip.
YouTube.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this right now to the audience listening. Please don't tip me on YouTube. Like you tip other people, but like spend that money on wood or something. Like I don't
I'm
need the
totally gonna
three
do a super
dollars, man.
thanks on a video of
Well,
yours now.
if you really think about it, when they tip you, they are spending it on wood.
Just like-
Yeah. Wait, that's his OnlyFans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
Yeah,
right.
different
yeah.
platform. It's a
Oh.
different platform,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Well,
I got a link.
before
I got a link that pops up every single video to Grinder too, and that's been working well.
Something I don't want to lose that he just said a second ago. He said that we do to make it sustainable. I think that's a really important point for anyone listening because I think sometimes people have an unrealistic view of what you earn from a YouTube video. It's really very little for how much effort that goes into it.
Yes.
So by doing the Amazon and do the all these little pieces and parts, that's what it takes to make it worth it for the amount of time that's spent creating the content.
Mhm.
And it
100%.
can blow up. I mean, there's people, yes, that have made crazy amounts, but it takes all of those factors to really see it worthwhile, especially if somebody wants to do this full time.
Well,
You
I
you
think a
have to.
lot of people have the idea that like either you blow up or you don't, right? Either you're not making any money on YouTube or you're making $100,000 a week. And it's like that's a wild like juxtaposition that you're putting on there. It is a gradient, and of course, like the diversification of those different streams of income is really important to make it. This is why Patreon is so valuable, man. Like
Yes.
this is like, hey, don't slide me a super thanks. Go take
Right.
that $5 every month and go sign up for my Patreon so that I know that at least that's sustainable because now I have a reliable source of income every month, which makes all of the other things that
Correct.
come in at variable levels a little bit more easy to tolerate, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Different times of the year matter too. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
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 This is why I always put out extra content around Christmas, man. That's
Smart.
that's the bonus time. And also not only is that the highest ad revenue time, but that's also like the dead week between Christmas and New Year, especially like the 26th. Oh, it's a beautiful day
It
because
is.
everybody's so sick of being around their family. They
Yep.
go hide in their room and they stare at their
Absolutely.
phone
Yeah.
for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
videos do great.
Yep.
Thanksgiving Day is good too. I
Uh-huh.
have a theory
Uh-huh.
that
Yep.
people are just like sitting there looking at their phone and just
A
trying to pretend they're
hundred
not
percent.
there.
There's two types of people on Thanksgiving: people who stare at their phone for 4 hours before the meal, and people who cook and stare at their phone for 4 hours after the meal.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Oh, and
That's
then you
right.
get
Yeah.
you get the third tier, which like the guy doesn't do anything and he just sits on his phone all day and only stands
Right.
up to go eat. But
Yeah.
Right.
Then you get the person who gets on the shitter for 2 hours and watches.
That's funny.
he's just trying to avoid interacting with his
Oh
kids.
my God. Oh my God.
So
So
Jeez.
let me ask you this, since you're somebody, I'm actually looking at your page, the different videos, thumbnails and stuff.
Uh-oh.
No, I think it's funny how you did is this how woodworking dies, and you do the shaper origin video, and when I did the
Mm.
shaper origin video, it was a complete flop, and I got so much, you know, I got the old school like, oh, you're a domino user, like, oh, it must be
Yeah.
nice, and like now that
Well,
doesn't exist anymore. And
right
I
now
was
it's turned
I'm
into the origin.
the origin is the new domino for sure.
Yep.
But
Yep.
um, as somebody who has done YouTube now and is probably earning, a pretty good amount of money from YouTube, you've also done TV.
Sure.
And if I remember correctly, you were on the podcast last time, long before you did the show.
I don't remember when I was on the pod. I
I mean,
think
it was over a couple of years ago
it
because
was
it was when
definitely
Ben was
before the
on.
show came out. Yeah. I might have filmed it already and wasn't allowed to talk about it. I don't remember.
Well, I think it's interesting to have somebody on who is now doing the YouTube side of things. What are your thoughts? Because this is a conversation I've heard a lot.
Mm.
I want to get a show. And then people do the show and they're like, nope, I'd rather just do YouTube, right? Because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
either because of pay or because of schedules or because of the shooting. So what were your thoughts on that experience versus what you do for your own channel?
Well, damn, that's a good
And
question.
pitch the show a little bit, because for those that don't know, maybe they want to watch it.
Sure, sure. So first of all, the Netflix show that you're talking about was Instant Dream Home, and it's a show in which we renovate homes in 12 hours. There are 8 episodes on Netflix. I think on the whole, it's a pretty good show. Like I'm proud of the product that's out there.
I agree. It's a good show. I
And
watched it.
thank you. The second show I did last year was called The Great Bakeover, which is not a good show. It's
I actually
it's
haven't seen that one.
I didn't know
yeah. Well, there's a reason. I didn't promote it very hard. It's here's what I'll say about it. Do you guys
You
watch
were
The
in
Great British
just an
Bake Off?
apron baking cakes.
Oh, it was assless chaps, baby, all day long.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you guys watch The Great British Bake
meerkat.
Off?
Meerkat.
No.
Okay, so the first season of the Bake Off that we had in the States was won by a lady named Nancy Birtwistle, and she is an absolute delight. So it was her and I. She's a baker and a business person, and I was the builder, and we renovate bakeries in LA. She was a delight to work with. All of the people we worked with were really nice, and we got along with them. But the overall product I thought was just very it wasn't that interesting. So that being said, the experience of the two shows were very, very different. Um, and when you throw in YouTube, like they're just three different creative entities. YouTube, I have complete control over what I'm doing, and I get to do whatever I want. I have to consider my audience, and I have to consider what will do well, but I also have the freedom to do things that I think will probably tank, but it's a thing that I feel I need to do creatively, or it's just a message that I want to put out on the internet because, we're a bit starved for positivity and creative encouragement. So I can do those things where like I know a video is going to fail, but it doesn't matter. I don't care all that much because I know it'll be valuable to my core audience. Television, you have absolutely no control over the creative process. So this is where the two shows become interesting to compare because the first show, again, I'm really happy with the way it came out. I had a ton of fun making it. It was a big budget show. We had great directors and great producers, and the five of us got along really, really well.
And it got
And
an Emmy, right?
and it got an Emmy. So like all like the experience of that show was tremendous. The paycheck was less than people often think that it was because they're just like, oh, you have a Netflix. Like he's got Netflix money. It's like my house is 1,000 square feet, guys. Like like I don't know what to
Right.
I just laid down LVP flooring that I got on clearance for 75 cents a square foot. Like Netflix money doesn't go as far as you think it does.
Yeah.
Uh, but then in the second show, while the experience of filming it was a lot of fun because I got along really, really well with Nancy, the overall product, it was a letdown because it just I in fairness, I was not the core audience that they were going after. What they said to me specifically, and this is a quote, I always found it interesting. Their core audience was Midwest moms folding socks in the evening. And it was like, that's a very specific picture you're painting right there. And I think
Right.
they nailed it for that. But I am not that audience. So I watched it and I was like, oh, this is boring. You
But
know?
I bet you those Midwest moms liked
Those
watching you.
Midwest moms loved it, man. So they're just three different things. Like when you show up on set for a TV show, you have a job to do just like any other job. And they're like, you need to be here at this cue and you need to hit these lines. You need to eventually get to this point so that we can build this scene around what's happening. Whereas when I'm making a YouTube video, I can make the decision on the fly of like, oh, I thought this idea was going to work. It's not really working. I'm not getting the point across. So I can make a creative decision to take it in this other direction and hopefully make a better video. And I get to take the creative risks that come along with that, which to me, that's really fun.
Nice.
So from a
Yeah.
creative perspective, I don't know. From a business perspective, I think the sustainability of YouTube, coming back to what you were talking about, Ronnie, like that, I can more consistently make a paycheck on YouTube than sitting around waiting for another show to come up.
Yeah.
And, like at the end of the day, I consider myself a furniture maker and a woodworker first and a content creator second. And being on an Emmy winning TV show is just a fun bar story to drop every now and again when I feel like, really dropping the mic on somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what's funny about it, and this isn't to take anything away from what you just said. I do feel like it's so much more common now that people are getting these show opportunities, and who are the people that are getting them? People that are on social media, right?
Sure.
Like I know probably 15 different people who have had opportunities to be on shows or have filmed pilots or have, you know, I just don't think it's not the same as it used to. And I think the reason for it is because so many companies on these streaming platforms are trying to make that next, crazy hit. And they're all competing against what?
Yeah.
YouTube. And
Yep.
they're looking for people who have already established themselves in a field in the hopes that this is going to be the thing that hits. But what they can't compete with is the authenticity of YouTube. They can't compete with the money that goes into that. They can't pay most creators who have big enough audiences to make them really make it really enticing because, I could pay you, $10,000 an episode and we're going to film, 6 episodes for this first season. It's like, okay, or I could do YouTube and make more than that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I think that's exactly right. I think that the audience for what they have in mind is shrinking because that audience has shifted away from television and onto YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And in fairness to them, YouTube blowing up as a real business entity, like to be a content creator, has only been around a decade at most, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for an actual opportunity. And like the industry of television and film just hasn't shifted enough to understand how things are changing.
It's kind of like what happened recently in November. Everybody everybody has been really, I'm not getting political here, but everybody is tired of the news media
Mm.
and being lied to. So everybody sought out podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah,
the
podcasts have
politicians,
exploded.
the politicians went to the podcast who could actually talk the real talk.
Hmm.
And that's where the shift has been. And I see the shift being from, I don't watch television at all. And just recently, these guys freaked out when I bought my wife a television for the first floor for her birthday and Christmas. And I actually watched because I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I actually watched about 2 hours worth of the news, and I had forgotten about commercials,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
I got so nauseous.
Yeah.
And I realized because I used to watch the news all the time, and I realized something. They really think we're freaking stupid
Ask your
that
doctor
we
about this
can't
drug.
that they
Yeah.
repeat these commercials, the same goddamn commercial
It's
every
like
other one. Like,
it's
give me
it,
a break. And
I
it's
always
and I was yelling at the television. Nobody was in the house except the dog. And I'm like, no wonder. That is why I love YouTube. I can
yeah.
it's like you controlling content, Eric. We all control our content. We
Mhm.
have a bit of control of what our news feed is,
Yeah.
what we care to watch. And I could care less about slick videos. I want authentic people.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love watching people make mistakes and go, she's got, they did that.
And that's the kind of thing that you can do on YouTube that you can't do on television, right? Because
Exactly.
they are still very much in that 30 to 45 minute format of like it has to hit these beats, but nobody, like, even us who grew up watching television, when we
Yep.
see that format now, it's almost jarring because it's so far removed from what we're actually viewing and taking in day to day. And then add on top of that the fact that because the overwhelming viewership is shifting so hard to YouTube, that all of the ad revenue is slowly shifting into YouTube. And I think it will continue to shift over. So now you've got production companies who are desperately trying to bring in big name YouTubers in order to draw in their audience to watch a show, but they can't pay the YouTuber as much as they would make on YouTube because they don't have the ability to sell the show because ad companies aren't trying to get time on television anymore. They're investing that money in YouTube and are continually doing that more and more by percentage every year. So it's a dying thing right now.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I can speak from experience. Companies are not putting money into slick media
Hmm.
or trade shows. They're putting money into social media.
Yeah.
The other thing too is
And
if you're
and
on one of those TV shows, you can't be as authentic as you would be on your own YouTube channel.
100%. You
yeah.
you have a role. You are playing a caricature of yourself. Like even again on the Netflix show, which uh, I think genuinely is a good show, and I feel very good about who I was on camera and how they portrayed me in the final cuts. I think I was pretty authentically me, but I also understand that I am fitting into the box
Mhm.
of here's the carpenter, here's the guy who's fixing all the problems. Everybody else is coming to him and going like, "We don't know how we're going to solve this." And I'm like, "No problem." And
Ding.
I'll take
Yeah.
care of so like that's a caricature of who I am. Like I am a curious person. I'm like, let's figure it out. Like we can get it done. But that's not then like a cut to a 15-second montage of me cutting the side of a house down so I can forklift a kitchen in. Like, like it's just an exaggeration of the truth. Whereas on YouTube, I can sit down and have a conversation with the camera, and then people will come at me in the comments and say like, this guy doesn't shut up, like stop talking. But I'm like, that's also what the people who watch me every week are there to watch
Want.
me do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I was at the festival build off with him, and I think it wasn't very long at all after we came back home and they announced the show. And I was like, okay, he must have done a show since I saw him last. And then I watched the show and I'm sitting there going, I kept saying over and over again to my wife, I'm like, when did he do this? When did he
Yeah.
do this? And I sent him a message. I was like, did you already do this before I saw you at the build off? He said, yes. I was like,
Yeah. Well,
okay.
this was a funny thing because the show was we started filming that in it was February 28th of 2020. So we went down there, we got all the like I was teaching at the time, so we did the thing, and they called me up and they offered me the part. And then I had to go to the head of the school and be like, "Hey, I gotta take 10 weeks off to go film a Netflix show. Like, can we make this work?" And they were wonderful. They were like, "Yeah, let's get everything set up." And we found a replacement. Go down there February 28th. We filmed for exactly 7 days. And then they were like, "Hey, this pesky COVID thing's coming through. We got to send you guys home for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back in no time." Um, so
Wow.
then we got furloughed for 18 months, and then we filmed the show. But all this time, like they we knew it was going to be a big show because first of all, they kept us on contract for 18 months, right? There's your first sign. And the budget only grew after the pandemic happened. So they were very like, "Hey, these are the rules for the NDA. Like, you can't say anything about it." And this is the first show I had ever done. So I internalized that as like, I literally can't tell anybody
I
except
will
like
take
my
this to the
mom.
grave.
Right.
Yeah.
So in
Hey,
retrospect, I definitely could have been like, "Yeah, Ronnie, I did a show." Like, but I didn't realize that was like, don't say anything about it publicly. I didn't know how to differentiate the two at that
Yeah.
point in time, you know?
hey, but I'm wondering something. Did that turn out to be a blessing in disguise? Because I bet after that 7 days, you all were talking to each other during that 18 months. So
For
you knew
sure.
each other. You probably actually authentically knew each other when you started filming the second
A
time,
hundred
right?
percent, a hundred
And
percent. We were talking
yeah,
through the entirety of the pandemic, so much so that when we came back to film, the in the first time we were staying in a hotel, the second time we came back to film, we were like, "Hey, can you guys, instead of paying for 4 hotel rooms, can you just put us in a house together?" So we lived together in a
oh,
giant
that's
party
cool.
house for 3 months while we filmed the show. It was a ton of
That's
fun.
awesome. That's so
Yeah.
good. And that
Wow.
helps out. I mean, they say, like I know that I always heard that Friends, when they started filming that, he took them to Vegas all in a
Mm,
jet and they hung out together in Vegas for a while before they shot the first episode. And I
yeah.
think that really shows you can tell when people authentically know each other or if they're just being brought onto the set.
A
So
hundred
that's
percent.
probably part of why that show did so well and felt so real.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I literally just yesterday got the save the date for Paige's wedding, and I was texting with Nick, uh, you know, what, a week ago, because he secretly got married, and then he's going to have like a big wedding over the summer. So like we still talk, regularly.
That's awesome.
So
Very cool.
you're a woodworker. Now you're technically a YouTube sensation since you hit that 100,000
Ooh,
subscribers.
sensation. I like
You are an
that.
Emmy-winning Netflix TV star, but you are also a woodworking instructor, and this is something I really really want to kind of peel back the layers on,
Mm.
and what that's like. Where you're teaching classes, what these classes entail. I've talked to some people that have been to some of your classes, and they had
Oh yeah.
mediocre things to say, which is to be expected.
That's better than negative.
Yeah, but I'm really interested to kind of get what that environment is like, and
Sure.
how you approach classes, maybe some struggles that you've had on your earlier classes that you've taught,
Sure.
and then maybe even share, like closing it out by sharing, hey, if you're going to a woodworking course at a woodworking school, here's some things that you should know, and here's some things that would maybe make it a better experience for them.
Sure. Sure. Um, well, so remind me of that last point, because I'll forget and go down the rabbit trail. But as far as what my teaching style is now, and how I got there, first of all, teaching middle school and high school was incredibly informative,
Mhm.
because when you're teaching adults, like early on when I would assist in classes, and you have a bunch of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're all retired doctors and lawyers and Congress people. And like, it's an intimidating setting, and you need to figure out how to communicate with those people in an effective way that's not condescending in any way, but also like keeps them entertained, because they're paying good money to be there to learn. And I think critically, to have a positive experience. And that was one of the things that I learned when I was teaching younger folks, is it doesn't matter really what I teach you. What matters is that I create an environment in which you have a positive experience in the shop, because that then creates a positive reverberation where you want to come back the next time and you're more engaged the next time. So it's a long con, basically, right? Like I would always start off the semester with just like making jokes for 30 minutes because nothing matters. And I'm never going to give you homework and school is stupid. We all agree on that. Great. Now, this is how you build things with your hands. And I think learning how to create an environment where positive reinforcement can kind of circle back on itself, create a positive feedback loop is something that I took into teaching adults. And now my aim is twofold, really. Like I will teach you how to build things, but that's not one of my primary goals because anybody can teach you how to build things. Anybody can teach you how to cut a dovetail. You can learn that on your own in your garage by watching YouTube videos and practicing. My aim is to teach you how to think about what you're doing in a slightly different way and to challenge you in how you're thinking about that. So from the design perspective, like what's the ratio of dovetails you're using? What's the ratio of the box you're making? What woods are you choosing? What grain patterns are you choosing and why? And how does the choice that you're making affect the overall composition of the box? Because if I can get you to think from like a 5% different vantage point, just change that view a little bit, you'll see it in a way you probably haven't ever seen it before. And then, oops, you also learn to cut dovetails. So now you have this new way of thinking that you can take home and implement. And also you've built some skills. But then it's just about keeping a positive environment in the shop and saying like, listen, it doesn't matter what you get done at the end of this week. Like you're going to go home. You are here on vacation, realistically. You're here to learn. You're here to explore. You're here to grow. All of those things are mentally and physically exhausting. So you may get a thing done by the end of the week or the end of the 2 weeks, whatever it is. You may not, and that's totally fine. If your primary goal is to get a cabinet built so that you can go home to your partner and say, look, I got a cabinet built. We can hang it on a wall. We'll get the damn thing done. Don't stress about that. I will make sure that you walk out of here with a finished cabinet. If your goal is to be a better woodworker, you may or may not get the cabinet done by the end of the week because I'm going to push you and prod you in certain ways. And I think setting up that honest communication up front generally leads to a positive experience for students. But as far as like the things that I've had to learn along the way, the first few times I taught a class, like kind of in my secondary professional career when I reopened the business in 2021, it was I I was accustomed to having a semester to build trust, build relationships, push people, do things. And then I only had a week. And so what ended up happening was just like abject chaos. And like nobody got anything done really. I think people learned. I hope people learned. But the reality was like I needed to learn how to have a more structured environment where there were certain goals that we were hitting each day along the step, like have a schedule that we need to kind of roughly keep to. And then I could play within the boundaries of that framework. But if you take the framework away, then it's just Erik making dick jokes for 6 days. And like nobody wants that.
I mean, I kind of do.
Jason may want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we do a one-on-one class?
Let's say.
So where do you teach these classes?
Yeah, I was just
now?
going to ask that. Yep.
Let's see, for 2025, what I have on the schedule right now is the Florida School of Woodworking in March,
Yep.
Mark Adams in April.
Oh, you're going to be down here in our neck of the woods.
Gonna be down in Indy. Let's get together and
yes.
For sure.
do some
Is
terrible
that a week?
things.
Is that a week class?
That's a week class, yes.
Week class.
We're doing a hall table, trying to bring in some bent components. Should be a fun one.
You said
Do you
it's
know
a-
the- do you
it's
know
a
the
week,
dates?
Like WEAK class. It's a week class.
Yeah, it's a week class for weaklings. We're gonna really focus on powerlifting. Let me look. I can tell you the dates. It is, I want to say, the middle of April. Let's see. March 10th through 14th is Florida, and April 14th to the 18th is
Very
that
cool.
class at Mark Adams. And then I'll be in Maine at CFC again this year for a 2-week box making class. So do you guys know, Larissa, my shopmate? Yeah, Larissa Huff.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
do. I don't know if her and I have ever met, but I know who she is. I've seen her at some of
Yeah.
the events.
She's a tremendous woodworker and a fantastic human being. So she and I and her old business partner, Rob Spees, invented this like 3-day box making class, which then Rob moved to Tennessee to take over a woodworking school down there. And she and
Which
I have
you've been to
continued
and taught at,
to grow
correct?
it. I was scheduled to do so, and
Okay.
then we couldn't fill the class. It's Berea down in
Yeah.
Kentucky,
Oh
I
yeah.
think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Yep. Berea.
that's
Yep.
30 minutes from me.
Oh,
30
is it?
minutes. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
get a chance to go over, Rob Spees is
I've
the
heard a
man.
lot of good
He's
things.
a great human.
Yeah, there's some of our patrons talk about it all the time. I need to get
Yeah,
down
yeah,
there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
say
Go check
30
it out,
minutes,
man.
actually 45
It's
minutes.
a Kentucky 30 minutes, so it's like 75 miles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I live right on the Interstate 75 that goes from Michigan to Key West. So I get technically straight on that interstate and drive 40 minutes. And that's Berea.
Listen, buddy, I'm gonna shoot straight with you. If it's not the Kentucky Trail, the Whiskey Trail, like
It is.
I don't care.
It crosses it. It does cross it. So
Okay.
I'm 10 minutes from Buffalo Trace and Woodford Reserve.
Okay. Well, I know what
Yeah.
we're doing when I go down to Berea, then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was
Exactly.
what week in April?
April
what?
the
The
14th
14th
of
to the
April, I'm
18th.
down in Mark Adams, and then in July, I'm at CFC. So Larissa and I have bumped the box class to a 2-week class now. So that's going to be a tremendous amount of fun too. And then I'm doing Hatch Space in Vermont at some point. I don't know the dates for that yet. But those are the only 4 I have on the schedule for right now because the schedule fills up quick. And my partner lives in Switzerland, so I got to go see her, every now and again. And, we got the Festool event in the middle of February, and I've got to deliver a piece down to Florida and another one down to Texas. So, like, the chaos of just
Yep,
running
right.
a business, I got to leave some free time in there.
We haven't
There's a
touched on where
Festool
you're
event
based
in
out of.
February?
Yeah.
I haven't been invited.
You didn't get the invite.
I didn't get an invite.
Where are you based out of your home space? Like we
I'm
haven't
in
said where you're-
Philly. Yeah,
Philly.
I'm so I live in the northeast section of Philly, and the shop is like a 10-minute bike ride. So it's great. Like Philly is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated cities in the country. Now it has a reputation, and that reputation is well earned. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's a paradise out here. But what it is a town that has a deep history supporting the arts and the crafts.
Yes.
And we have a number of programs like Craft Now, for example, which is a city program, which its entire job is to give grants and support shows of people who are making things, in mixed media, woodworking grants, setting people up with company. We have the Museum for Art and Wood. Like it's a tremendous city that wants to see makers succeed. And the city itself constantly, like we have, I don't know what the actual number is, but some number of hundreds of murals around the city in mixed media, paint, tile, wood, etc. Because the city itself invests in the visual arts as well. So it's and hey, it's a hell of a food town. It's a
For
great
sure.
food town.
And I heard the zoo has the largest grouping of meerkats.
My
Can
wife will
confirm.
actually be in Philly next week.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, for her job. They're meeting up there. She works for a law firm that actually has a place there in Philly, Ice Miller.
All right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if she wants to get a beer or something,
Oh, I'm
I
not
don't
letting
know.
her anywhere near you.
Hey, Eric, that Florida School of Woodworking, Kate does
Yeah.
a great job, doesn't she?
Oh, Kate's awesome, man. Kate
Yeah.
is so much. The first time I met Kate, we were doing a Shaper event down there. And we were only down there for 2 days, and just immediately we got along really, really well.
for
and
sure.
she is like, she wastes no time being like, "Hey, I just want you to know I'm a bad bitch. So like, hey, like let's be on the same page about this." And she runs a tight ship down there. She's awesome to work with.
She is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
And
where they
there
did
was
the
one time.
all-female festival thing, right?
Yeah, we did a
Yep.
build off there. We're doing another build off in September this year in 2025.
Nice.
And she's a tour de force. And
Mhm.
Lucy, you guys all know Lucy, right?
Yep.
It was her and I down there running the show. and we finished setting up because Kate had so much set up for us already. And we walk out the front door. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And Lucy goes, "What's that smell?" And I go, "Take a right. I think there's a few doors down. That smells like hops." They get so many breweries right in that little area.
Yep.
And
I mean, even literally like next door is a bar with all the local brews too.
yeah. And the thing I got really jazzed about, because you're right, Kate runs a tight shop, but everybody is so stoked to work there and teach there.
Hmm.
It's just such a nice little haven.
Well, and that's a testament to Kate being the type of person who, in my experience, she's very much like, this is what I expect. We're going to be professionals about it. And
Yeah.
then within that framework, she is a very kind human being, right?
Oh,
Like as long as you do your job,
yep.
she's like, you can do whatever you want. And that's the kind, like, I love that kind of relationship where it's like, hey, here are the clear expectations. As
Yeah.
long as we're on the same page about that, go play, go be you, go do the thing. And I think that's what I can't remember the two guys' names down there. Super nice guys who were running the
Yes.
shop down there. But
Yeah.
that's the vibe you get from them is
What's
they're
his
like,
name?
we come in and we bust our butts and we make sure that everything's running. And then, outside of that, like we're just hanging out in a wood shop all day. Like we're making things when we
Oh,
want. We get to play around, teach sometimes.
yeah. Hey,
What's
is this your first year at Mark Adams?
Second year. I was there last year. And that was a tremendous amount of fun. Mark, I mean, talk about a tight ship. That
Dude,
guy, a well-oiled machine.
he eats sugar straight out of the bag in the morning. Jesus,
I
he's a freaking road runner, isn't he?
I gotta admit one of my favorite things right now is you guys know Phil Morley.
Yep.
And you know Adrian Ferrazzuti?
I do not.
No.
He was
So
teaching. He was teaching down there
yeah,
because
he
I do
teaches at
weekends.
Mark Adams
Yep.
regularly.
Yeah, and he was
So
teaching the week before I did my weekend, and I didn't get to meet him.
okay. So Ferrazzuti is an incredible furniture maker. He was one of my teachers when I was in the 9 month SCFC years ago, and we've become really good friends. But so he and Phil were in the fellowship at CFC together, and then he made a screen printing of Phil's face just because Phil is Phil and it would mortify him. So Adrian thought it was very funny. And so then he spray painted that stencil on one of the trash cans at Mark Adams. And then I was making fun of Phil for that. And then last time he was there, I think this past winter, apparently he made a stencil of my face, and now I'm on the can next to Phil. And I'm like, well, now I feel like I've made it in life. If me and Phil are on a trash can together.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
that's,
at the class that you're doing, a contemporary hall table.
Yeah, so the weekend before I do the week long there, I'm doing like a technique class. So just a bending technique. So it'll be three
Oh,
different
cool.
ways to bend wood. And then for the hall table class, it'll be taking a one of those bending techniques and incorporating that into a hall table. And I think it'll just be like, the hall table is such a blank canvas as far as playing with details goes. Like, you got to hit some of the certain points. Like it'll be
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, 36 inches tall, 32 inches tall. Generally rectilinear, have a little bit of a curved front. But other than that, like we can play around with, grain orientation. We can play around with details. We can play around with carving if you want. Like there's so many different avenues to take that down. So I think learning the technique and then encouraging people to play around with some points of visual emphasis that I think it's going to be a really fun class.
Now, do you
Cool.
know if the class is full yet? It still says I can add it to the cart. So,
I don't know if it's full. I have no way.
well,
No way
you
of
know, the
If
knowing.
you
reason
can
I'm
add it,
asking,
if you can add it to the cat, you can take it.
okay,
There you go.
the reason I'm asking is because
My grandmother used
Sedge,
to say that.
you know, you know who else is going to be here that same week? Actually,
Oh,
Steve.
oh,
He's
he's taking the guitar class.
He's doing the acoustic guitar class, which is
Yeah.
that same week. Um, I'm asking Eric because we have a pretty big population of our patrons who are very interested in going down and taking a class.
Sure.
I have actually been very interested in going. I still have never been down to Mark Adams, and I used to live
Yeah?
like 5 miles away from it.
In one of the cornfields?
No,
Yes.
I lived on the other side of the interstate. Um, but I don't know.
Soybean field.
I may end up coming and being a student in your class.
Hell yeah, man.
I'm
Do it. That
thinking
would be
about
a
it.
ton of fun. Dude,
That would
Bring
be
two
fun.
guys for wings.
I
Yeah.
love when friends come down. Like KJ came down and took a class with me one time. Mary Sai took a class with me one time. Like it's so much fun to have those people in the class to just like, I mean, honestly, just make fun of each other for a week.
Right.
You know?
No, I've
Mark
already been
Adams is
thinking in my
my
head the shit talking that I would do.
Yeah.
What's that, Sedge?
Mark Adams is my heaven.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's my heaven. I this year is I think my sixth or seventh year teaching. I just do one weekend class a year, and
Nice.
it's a Festool Essentials, and I have so much daggone fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark is such an energy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and Doug and
Oh, Doug is a legend.
he's amazing. But I've known all of them. They're good. They're really good people.
That is the thing that struck me. It immediately was very evident that they are like genuinely caring human beings,
Oh yeah,
and make sure that everybody's doing all right and want everybody to do all right. You know,
yeah.
and that's not the case everywhere you go.
No, that's for sure.
I really think I'm going to do this
Hell yeah, let's do it, man.
because not only do I have, I mean, I have the time. I live here, so I can just drive there every day, which is
Sure.
great. Um, but I actually have a place that I could put this, and I think I will actually learn quite a bit from you.
That would be awesome. Let's
And
do
the
it, and let's get some patrons in this jam too, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know how
sign
this
up. Well,
works.
hold on. I better sign up for this before we release the
I know.
episode, so I can make sure I get a slot. Do you know how many people the class can hold? Like, because that's
75.
another thing that goes along with the, things that maybe you've learned from teaching. It's like, is there a number where you feel like is too much? Like, what's the
I
perfect number for you?
For me, if I'm teaching by myself, somewhere in the range of like 8 to 12, I think is perfect because then we can like one of my aims whenever I teach a class is to figure out how everybody can take the thing that we're making and make it 5% different. So that way you're making some creative choice about the object. So that's that like 8 to 12 is a great number for that. Once it starts like I think I've done a class where it was like 15 and it's definitely doable, especially with a good assistant. It's very doable, but it like personally the creative output that is required for like making creative decisions about 15 different pieces is exhausting, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
So I like them when they're a little bit on the smaller end, but I also understand, a school needs to make money, and the more students in the class, the better. So I think that one, if I remember correctly, I think the cap is at 14. Um, which again, like again, I can't remember the guy's name that assisted me last year. Long curly hair, brown hair, tremendous guy,
Mark
tremendous.
Hedren,
It
maybe.
might it might have been Mark.
Hmm.
In any case, like with an assistant that capable and that knowledgeable about how the school works, 14 runs like a well-oiled machine.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'm strongly considering because right now I don't have anything on the calendar in April, and Steve will be here at that time, so that'd be cool. And man, I've wanted to go down to that place for so dang long and
Do it,
take a
man.
class. We've talked about it. We've talked about trying to coordinate some sort of, special class that our patrons can come down and
Mm.
we can all do it together, like the three of us plus, a small group of patrons that would be willing to do it. And, maybe we still do that in the future, but I've just heard so many great things about it, and I've never been to a schoolhouse. Like literally everything I know about woodworking is from friends or
You've never
YouTube.
taken a class proper?
Never.
Oh, dude. It's like I personally highly recommend it. I still on occasion will like especially just sit in on classes when people are teaching because
Yes.
there's always like you might know 80% of the things because you've been building things for 10 years. Like you might know most of the things, but it's the little things that we don't even think about articulating on a YouTube video because it's so ingrained in how we do a thing that you're just like Sedge was talking about earlier, like scribing a thing specific. You're
Mhm.
like, I never would have thought to do that. That's fucking brilliant, man.
It's brilliant. It was
So
brilliant.
I think that's the real value of taking a class. Like you can do a thing, or especially with hand tools, like if something doesn't feel right, you can be like, hey, what's not working here? Why am I getting results that are
Right.
different from you? Whereas from a YouTube video, all I can do is show you what my tool does when I put it on the piece of wood. You
Hmm.
can't feel what a sharp hand plane looks like or feels like. You can't see what a sharp chisel looks like, you know? So like being able to just or like I've had people hand me their hand planes and be like, "Can you sharpen it up?" And I sharpen it up and it works. And they go, "Okay, at least now I have quelled the anxiety of like maybe my hand tool sucks." No, it's just not sharp. That's all. You know, so all
Right.
of those are all things that you get out of being in person in a class with somebody versus
Exactly.
just like a Skype call or a YouTube video.
All right, geez, stop selling me on it. I'll sign up for the damn thing.
I'm sitting
Good
there thinking,
Lord.
It's
my
also
only woodworking training that classes I've ever went to is Sedge. And
oh,
and then you're talking about chisels and sharpening. That was also Sedge.
hey, hey, this I want to add one more thing that because I taught a lot of classes with Festool. Okay. And boy, you hit on everything right on about an outline and trying to maintain the chaos and everything. But for me, I think after a while it was just the curricula. And I really focused in on the experience with everybody. And it
Mm,
wasn't just, and this is what I get out of what I see that people get out of class. It's the people who attend and the relationships that you meet when you're there,
Hmm.
right? All of a sudden
100%.
you get 8 people in a room or 12 people in a room, and they're kind of like, oh. Then all of a sudden you partner with somebody or 2 or 3 people in groups, and all of a sudden you should see the relationships that emerge from there.
Yeah. Well, dude, I have like there's three people who I met at the Shaper event, and that was like where they all met. And since then, they've taken three other or two other classes with Larissa and I. So like they're traveling about the country from different locations to go take classes together. Like that's
Yeah.
how those friendships form, right?
Yep.
And also like another massively underrated benefit to being in a class setting is when you're learning how to make things in your shop by yourself, you have no barometer for where you stand as a student. Like you don't
Yes.
have the ability to compare how you're growing as a woodworker. And so going to a class and looking around and going like, "Oh, I don't suck. Like I'm right on track with everybody else. This is where I
Hmm.
should be. I shouldn't be better than I am because I've only been making things for a couple of years, or like I can put it into context with other people's experiences." I think
Hmm.
that's so important so that you don't
Yes.
kind of sit in that vacuum of your garage and
Yes.
being like, why why are houndstooth dovetails so goddamn hard? Because they're hard. That's why. And everybody who cuts them struggles with them. So don't judge yourself for that. I think it's important to see those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ronnie, that's really funny when we were talking that time and you said, yeah, I said you showed me this. I go, when did I do that?
Yeah,
You know,
I was just thinking that was 16 years ago that I took the first Festo class.
and
It
you've
was
taken, you took
I
all of
took
them.
I took all of them that I could get in to get because I was only, I was pretty close. It was I could just drive over there. But that was when the first time I took probably three in 2009 when I first left
So,
the corporate world because I was scared to death. Eric, I've heard told the story before. I was scared to death, and I thought, okay, if I'm doing this thing full time, I need to learn all I can learn.
Yep.
And it wasn't as much on YouTube. Wood Whisperer was out there, but there wasn't a lot of people. But I was into Festival, already had a nice collection. I thought, well, they're giving classes. Maybe I'll learn some things from them. And that's when
Sure.
I went to the class, and I did at least probably three classes in 2009, and those were my first ever woodworking classes. I learned everything from magazines, pretty much,
and
in the corporate world.
once again, one of the coolest things that emerged out of there is Ronnie is now one of my closest friends.
Mm.
Yeah, I just can't believe
Yeah,
it's been
he's a
16
knucklehead
years.
like me.
I was sitting there thinking 2009. How far away is that? I'm like, oh my
Honestly, when you
gosh.
said 16 years ago, I was like, oh, so like 1999.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
2000. Yeah, it's not
That
that long
crazy.
ago. Yeah, I'll
Jeez,
go yep, it's
Lou.
16, but
Ugh.
it is a long time ago. It's crazy. I just
And
saw
I
the
and
other day.
Cam,
Yeah, oh yeah,
Cam,
Cameron.
Cam,
Yeah,
Cam wasn't even up to his knee yet.
no, he wasn't. And it's funny what Eric said a second ago. That's what happened to Cameron when he went to the last festival build off. He's never built with other people before.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he was so nervous about it, more than he even told me. And after the first day, he goes, Dad, you know what? I didn't realize I know as much as some of these adults. And I was like, I've
Uh-huh.
told you that. I've told
Yep.
you. But he just
Yep.
didn't believe me.
Well, he didn't
So
have the
that's,
context for it,
yes,
right?
you have to be
Yes,
around other
exactly.
people
Yeah.
to be able to know where you stand. You're exactly right. And that's what's really nice about the festival build-offs. They're like a class in that way. You
Yeah.
get to see, different, you learn so much, little tricks that, you would never think of. Like right offhand, Mike Coffey, when we had a dull chisel, when we were at the Rubio, and he goes to the concrete and starts sharpening the chisel on the concrete. I'm like, you can do that?
You were pretty much doing that, weren't you, Eric? We
I
had
don't
no
know what I
sharpening.
don't know what you're talking about, buddy.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's awesome though. I think that's what I get out of as well is you learn other little side things, and it's very valuable. So I have on my short list of things that I would like to do more of, and that would be classes.
Mhm.
Because when you learn things off the streets, magazines, that kind of thing, you got a lot of places that could be probably you could go into more depth. I just learned how to fake it till you make it, That's kind of
Dude, listen, everybody's faking it till they make it, you know? But I tell you, like, the thing that I get out of teaching also from a selfish perspective is like you guys have all been building for many, many years at this point. I imagine you remember the elation that you got from the first thing you ever built, right? Like that
Mhm.
feeling of like, holy shit, what did I just do?
That's what got me
Right?
hooked.
Yeah, yeah. But that's a thing that we don't get all that much anymore because it's chasing the dragon. Like
yeah.
you don't get that sense of like, oh my God, I just did a thing. But you do get that when you teach somebody to do that thing
Mhm.
and you get to experience that secondhand through them because you see that same excitement that you had whatever 10, 15, 20 years ago and you're like, God, it's still very real, you know? And
Right.
that's a tremendous amount of fun.
And you created that spark.
Hmm.
Well, I think
That's
they
the
had that
jazz.
spark, you know, but like I got
That's the
to,
jazz.
that's the
You
fun part
ignited
of
it.
it.
You're like
Right.
their
Yep.
drug dealer.
Yeah. And believe me, I know a lot about that.
That
You're
that
you
same
you send them home with things they want to buy and things they want to do.
Yep.
I mix it. Somebody told me, he goes, dude, you're the guy who mixes the Kool-Aid, aren't you? And I go, absolutely.
I love it when we're in a class, the festival. It was so funny. People wouldn't be as familiar. And they'd be like, what about if you've got a big router and you're putting it on there? Sedge would always smile. They'd be like, we've got an accessory for that. And they're like, no way. And people are always like, I didn't even know they made that accessory. And it's like, it's because it's clear and they put it in the catalog, a clear plexiglass router guide on a white background. Some people are like, I've never seen it before. It's because you can't see it. It's clear.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's you always found things to buy after a class, I'm sure.
Yeah, ain't that the way it goes?
that same feeling that you were talking about is it's the one thing that I miss about doing client work.
Mm,
Because even
interesting.
if I don't get the excitement of building that thing that I've built 3 times before, but when I deliver it and I see their
Mm,
reaction and how, thankful they are and how appreciative they are. And like that was that same thing that just would always get me reinvigorated about woodworking. Even if it was a project I didn't like doing, I'm like,
yeah.
okay, it was worth it. You know what I mean? Because I can
I,
see that.
it's a perfect example. Like, so I just finished up a commission for a client down in Florida that I got to go deliver at the end of the month. And they've been waiting patiently for like a year and a half. So they're parents of some good friends of mine, and they were starting to get a little bit impatient. Like I could sense it in them. Like, when are you going to get this damn thing done? But because we've been friends for a while, they didn't want to like push. And so I finally gave them the call and I was like, hey, it's done. They'd also been watching on YouTube and on Instagram. And they at some point said to my buddy, they're like, when's he going to call us and tell us it's done? Like, we see it's finished.
Oh,
And I was like, I just haven't gotten to it yet. But so when I did call them, then it was actually Sarah was making fun of me. My fiance was making fun of me for this because I had her on speakerphone, and she goes, "Eric, you are a genius." And I was like, "So I
Could you
guess
say
you
that
like
again?
it? Like, I'll take that as a compliment." But like, yeah, that feeling of them being so elated with the thing, even after having to wait, 18 months to get a piece that they've been very excited to get when they moved into their new home down there, which is not new anymore.
Right.
Well, the wood had to age.
Yeah, you know, you
before
had
you
to
put
give
the
it
finish on it.
exactly.
Yeah. You wanted it to move properly.
Yeah.
So
It's all
I
wood
wanted
movement
to
thing.
I wanted to bring up again because we're getting close to the end here. I wanted to ask, for somebody that's been teaching at schools and have experienced a lot of different things, what are some things that you think would be helpful for people going to a school for their first time? And to temper their expectations or be prepared for whatever. I think that would be helpful.
No, that is good. Thank you for bringing it back to that. I would say you probably don't need, or you definitely don't need all of the tools on the need list. Like every time I teach a class, they'll be like, what tools need to come and what tools are optional. And every class I've ever seen, you don't need all of the things. So if you can't afford it, if taking the class is a financial stretch for you, just show up. Like the school will have tools, or the instructor will almost certainly be able to shift to make sure that you have a positive experience. Um, come in understanding that it's a learning environment. You will be tired, not because it's physically demanding, but because it's mentally demanding to learn. I think as adults, we forget how exhausting it is to be fully engaged in a thing that you have to constantly figure out for 8 hours a day. Like
The
we
trade show.
forgot. Yeah, yeah. Like it is exhausting to stand there and think that hard for 8 hours. So cut yourself some slack at the end of the day, and recognize that you're just going to be exhausted. Go have a beer, and just figure out what it is. I guess if there's the main advice that I would give is figure out what it is that you want to get out of the class. If the thing is, I just want to be a better woodworker, then identify what skills you want to particularly focus on so that you don't walk away from the end of the week and go like, I wish we had learned that. Like, I wish
Right.
I had thought to ask about that. Um, and if you want to just come in and just like I've had many a student who are just like, listen, this is my week off. Like I don't care what we accomplish. I'm just here to play and like cut up some wood and glue some things together, and like what gets done gets done. And I'm like, I love that energy for you, brother. Like you build half a hall table this week, dog. Like live your life, cowboy. You know? So identify what it is that you want to get out of the week so that when you come in, you can articulate that to the teacher and get out from it what you need because it is a financial investment, you know?
Mhm. This one's I mean I think this one is a good price. It's $1,140.
For a week long, that's a good
Yeah, that's
yeah, for
it's
sure.
not a
Especially if
terrible
you're not
price.
going down and paying for a hotel and doing all the things. Like you can, if you take a 2 week long class and it's say whatever, $1,800, $2,000, and then you have to fly to the place and then you have to buy a hotel and then you got to bring your tools. Like you can end up 4 or 5 grand in the hole, pretty quick. And some guys, that doesn't matter. Like they do it every summer, they made a killing in their career and then they're fine. But if you have an opportunity to go to, and I'm not speaking to you specifically, Bent, but this is also your case. If there is a place nearby that you can drive to, or you have a friend that you can stay with, and you can bring some of your own material, and you can cut that cost down to basically the cost of the class and like food while you're there, then it becomes feasible to a lot more people. And you can figure out ways to. I've slept on a lot of couches. I was taking a month-long class in upstate New York at the very beginning of my career, and I stayed on my brother's couch for a month, and I drove an hour and a half each way because like I couldn't afford to stay somewhere else for a month. You just figure it out.
That makes sense.
Nice. Well, I'm pumped about this. I get to go upstairs after this and tell my wife like, "Hey dear, I'm going to be in a class for this week." So
All right, when we get beers next week, I'll let her know.
yeah, yeah. When you take her to dinner, now you sound like Ronnie.
I do that to him all the time. I'm like, Nicole wants to know when you're going out of town again. He's like, why does she want to know that? And I'm like, oh, never mind.
Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to ask.
One other thing before we call this one quits, I did want you to talk a little bit about your podcast. Plug I mean, even though it's like far inferior to, this podcast,
You already said ours was the best one, though. So
it
Yeah,
is.
he did that specifically in the part where I couldn't talk,
Yes.
so that I couldn't take
Yeah.
umbrage with it.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, I got a podcast called Woodworking is Bullshit, and it is hosted by myself and my friends Mary Sy and Paul Jasper. Copper Pig, you guys know him. So we are trying to come at the conversation slightly differently from the other woodworking podcasts, which is, we ask questions more about design and the philosophy of making things. And what I think is really great about it is Paul is a PhD. He's a very, very smart guy. Mary is a brilliant human being, works in AI and in tech, and it has a degree in architecture. And I'm the idiot. So it's like I play the clown. But we've had some really good episodes where we're talking about like why we built things. We got Mira Nakashima on the podcast somehow. And we did
Oh,
an
wicked
interview with
cool.
her. Dude, that was easily the best episode we've done.
Wow.
He was incredible. So you can find it wherever podcasts are sold.
Yeah. I'll definitely be, leaving links to all of your stuff. I'll also
you,
put a
brother.
link to your class that you're going to be teaching at Mark Adams, to see if anybody's interested in going to that, because like I said, we've talked about it. We do monthly calls with our patrons.
Yeah.
And we always talk about, going to these classes. And because of that, one of our patrons, Steve, who actually we do a giveaway where we go and the three of us actually will fly out and hang out with them in their shop for a day. He was the winner. He lived in Boston.
And these two knuckleheads watched me sharpen all afternoon.
Yeah, we sure did. Watch Sedge geek out on on Steve's amazing collection of hand tools.
he just bought a Tormek. So
Yeah.
These
Steve
guys were like,
Steve is actually the reason for our new logo.
yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine my Master Splinter logo is going to be somewhere like emblazoned above or around.
Yeah, we'll have to add it. This is going to be the first episode that has that.
You incorporate the
stuff.
Ninja Turtles in? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
awesome.
well, hey, thank you, Eric, for coming on the podcast again.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
I don't think we've had a repeat guest, have we?
Am I your first backslide?
You are.
Oh man, I feel
Yeah.
honored that you would drunk dial me late at night like that.
I was like so hammered that night. I'm like, we need some idiot to come on the podcast.
I got a text from Jason middle of the night, just said you up.
Yeah.
You up?
I figured
I would introduce you to a meerkat.
he has a YouTube plaque now. He has a play button. So
I don't have it yet,
No,
man.
the plaque's
don't
not
have
in
it.
yet.
I did
We got
just
it just in
get-
time.
I just got the email yesterday that or from UPS that it's coming, and I was like, oh yeah.
Man, I just keep
Nice.
thinking. I think about it all the time. They're going to cancel it. I'm going to be at 99. They're going to be like,
Oh man.
"Dear YouTube creator,
They're not
YouTube.
they're not canceling that. They know that's why people start YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I can't wait to monetize. I found out so much tonight.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me how long it's going to be till I get the gold plaque, and I was like, "Oh, sweetheart, I'm never going to get to
Yeah,
a million.
never.
You're
That's
like, we're not
gonna
even
happen."
setting a goal on that one right
No,
now."
Yeah. If you change the type of content you do, it'll happen.
right.
Yeah.
Or you stay on for 15 years, maybe it'll happen.
Not even then. I don't think I'm capping it at 220.
Yeah.
Capping it. No more subscribers allowed.
That's
No
I'm
more
shutting it down
subscribers
after
allowed.
that.
Well, awesome. Hey, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Appreciate
Thanks so
you
much.
having me on.
It's always awesome hanging out and talking with you.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Everybody.
It's like, get out of here.
Sedge, I'll
Everybody
be
Bye-bye.
listening,
the first to say
thank you
bye
for
because-
listening to now officially the Three Splinters podcast. If you guys want to become a patron and be a part of the fun, go to Patreon and sign up.
He's leading up. Bye-bye.
Sedge, I swear you do this all the
Bye-bye.
time. And
He's
every
trying.
time
He's
I
trying. Bye-bye.
beat you-
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Every time I beat you. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sedge, just so you know, before we get out of this, Sedge is always in this crazy effort to be the last one to say
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.